Good morning, guys. I think we need a little clarification on what the expectations are for your visual art journal spread that you're completing for the 5 universal shapes. So I'm going to talk to you really quickly about a couple of things. Thing number one, your requirement is your visual art journal spread is a spread, which means it is 2 facing pages. So in your visual arts journal, you're going to complete one artwork that spans over 2 continuous pages, just like this. So that is part of your credit. If you've only got 1 page, you've only done half the assignment, so the highest you can get is a 50. So make sure you're doing your whole spread. Also, you guys all should have journals by now. Whether it's this or the spiral bound is fine, but it has to have white pages in it. It needs to be white paper. You cannot complete your artwork on lined paper. At this point in time, if you're submitting artworks on lined paper, I'm taking 10 points off your final grade. So get that sketchbook, get that white paper, okay? So it has to be a spread. Now, as far as your rubric is concerned, on here, you've got your self-evaluation rubric you're going to fill out, and here's what you're responsible for. The first thing is the overall effort on this spread. So if it is fully completed and I can see that you've been spending time working on it, it's going to be easy to get a 9 or a 10 on that. If it is something that I can look at and tell that you have done it in less than an hour, some of you are turning stuff, it looks like you did it in 15 minutes, you are not going to score high on that. You're given a week to do these assignments. If you were in class, a week would mean that you had anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, and that's what I expect to see work-wise as far as what you're completing for this class. Met the goal of creatively attaching all the artifacts. There's 5 artifacts you were supposed to have. You had to create your initiative card and your permission card. So when you look at this spread here, there's the initiative card attached to it. There's the permission card attached to it. How you want to attach them is completely and totally up to you, but they have to be on the spread as well. Then you also have your reflection about this year, your 5 universal shapes notes, and then your final writing about your thing. So when you look at this, how you attach those are up to you. The more creative, the better. So here, some of these spirals are where I cut up some of my notes and attached them. Over here, I just pasted down one of the writings that I had done where I went back and wrote in between the lines. Also on here, you can see where I've cut up where I was ranking my shapes. So attach them however you want to. Be creative with it, but you do need to attach all 5 of your artifacts. Okay? Now, the next thing down here is met the goal of experimenting with materials and utilizing at least 3 media. Media or mediums are what you use to make your artwork with. So you have to use at least 3. So in this one here, you can see that I've used Sharpies. So all of this black is Sharpie. There's also some ballpoint pen in here that I've used. I've used watercolors. I've done this watercolor wash that's all in the background that I drew on top of. I've got watercolor wash here, so that's 2. I've used pen and ink, and I've used watercolor. Then also collage is a medium, so that would be 3. Collage would count as 1. So you don't even have to count the fact that there's all this color pencil work in here and some other things going on. But you have to use at least 3 different types of art medium in your spread, okay? Now, the next thing down, you have to creatively fill your space. That doesn't mean you just color the whole background and then attach a bunch of stuff down. How are you going to creatively fill the space? Notice that you don't see any negative space on here. One of the things in your assignment is you're supposed to research Haravukui. It's an art style, and it literally is a fear of empty spaces. So you're supposed to just keep building and layering in here until there's pretty much no empty spaces left at all. And one of the best ways to do that is by this last one right here, creating a sense of emphasis. So which shape do you need to emphasize, or which 2 shapes do you need to emphasize? So on mine, even though you do see all the shapes listed in different places, there's a triangle, there's a square, there's other stuff going on, the dominant shapes that you see in here are the circle, and I have the tangent circles going on here, and then you see the spirals. Those were my 2 main shapes. Even my fish here kind of adds to that spiral or that circular movement, right? So you have to make sure you fill the space. Then, when you take your photograph, it needs to look just like this. You lay your spread out flat, and then you take your photograph so that it fills your space. Everything's on the page, nothing's running off. I see both spreads at one time. You only need to submit one photo. I don't need a bunch of details, just one photo of your completed spread that looks just like this. Also, make sure you are turning things in where they actually belong. So when you go to your modules, make sure that when you're turning in your visual journal spread, you're turning it into the one that says spread. When you turn in your self-evaluation rubric, you turn it into the one that says rubric. Otherwise, I'm just going to put in a 0 and kick it back to you, and you're going to have to fix it, okay? So read the directions, do what you're supposed to do it all right the first time so you're not having to go back and redo it. I put in a lot of grades this morning that aren't very good because you guys aren't following directions, all right? Make sure you're following the directions. If you've got a question, ask. That's why I'm here. Shoot me an email and ask me. I'll be back on Zoom in the morning at 9 o'clock, so if you need to talk with me then, that would be fine, okay? So get these things finished this week. Get them turned in. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. Have a good day.